Hi, I'm Jonas Lamis. Been an Austinite for about 15 years, and I'm definitely a jack of all trades, not really mastering any of them yet, but I've got my hands in a bunch of different things, techno-focused here in Austin. We're going to talk about Tech Ranch Austin, which is one of the ventures that I co-founded. It's a technology accelerator. Some great companies have gone through Tech Ranch, some of which I've had the opportunity to get deeply involved in. One of them is called Pyrex, which is a really cool platform for raising donations online for political campaigns and nonprofits. And then I've really had fun doing blogging, a lot of video blogging at jonaslamis.com, and even my stuff on TechDrawl.
All right, so you see a lot of companies come through the doors of Tech Ranch. What are some of the themes or things that you're seeing as we start 2010?
Well, I definitely see, so I've been in Austin for 15 years, done 5 startups that they've raised probably $100 million in venture capital between them. And I've definitely seen the death of venture capital for startups these days. Most of the startups that we're working with are growing organically. They're pushing for revenues early so that they can prolong the time frame before they have to take money. They're going to be able to get to a point where they're selling something and potentially even monetizing their business on a much lower capital investment than ever before. And those trends go right along with kind of the long tail story, right? These companies are going to be smaller, they're going to be more niche focused, micro targeted, but they're still going to connect with an audience at the end of the day, and they're going to be able to monetize that audience.
So you think that the bootstrapping mentality, I guess, sort of fits where we are today with the market and VCs and things like that?
I think it probably fits better now than ever before with all the platform technologies that are available to get a product to market quickly. And again, the ability to connect through your social grid to an audience of people who are interested in what you have to say and what your product is makes it easier than ever to target, find, and potentially sell something.
So the work here you guys do with Tech Ranch, how many companies, I guess, do you have here sort of at any given time now?
So there's like 3 levels of involvement that we have with companies. Number one, we think of Tech Ranch as a community center. So the doors are pretty much always open, and there's lots of public events going on here. We get hundreds of people through here on a monthly basis attending this, that, the other. Those are people who come and go. They don't necessarily stay as part of our ecosystem. Some of them turn into folks who participate in our programs. So we do some training programs, some mentorship programs, things like that. There's probably 100 people over the last year who have actively participated in those kinds of things. And then out of that, sometimes bubbles 3 or 4 or 10, startups that are really interesting that my partners and I get involved with. So right now there's about a dozen startups working here in offices. Of those dozen startups, there's probably 5 of them that we're very deeply involved in. The others we're mentoring along, and hopefully we'll get more deeply involved from an equity perspective.
All right, and so not to put you on the spot too much here, but are there any of these companies that you think are worth mentioning in particular, or what are some maybe future success stories that you think might evolve from Tech Ranch?
Right. Well, one company I mentioned in my intro that I'm deeply involved in is a company called Pyrex, and I've been working with Pyrex for about a year and a half now. Before we had product, basically, I got engaged with them on raising some funding, strategy, marketing, operations. And now we've gone through our first full year of product in the marketplace, and it's growing very fast. Very exciting company that has about 600, 700 different clients using it for raising money online, tens of thousands of donors, millions of dollars in transactions. So that's one that we're really excited about, and that's one that has been very capital efficient so far. It has created a tremendous amount of traction on a small amount of investment, and now is getting queued up to perhaps raise a significant amount of capital.
So earlier you were talking about the bootstrap environment and all of that, and you've had this experience with Pyrex, with capital efficiency. So, talk about maybe the VC market, some of the things you're seeing there, and and whether or not you think VCs are doing the right thing, taking advantage of opportunity, just responding to the market with the realities. How do you sort of view what's going on with early stage capital and VCs?
Yeah, well, again, my experience is fairly narrowly limited to the software side of things, and both the consumer internet and some of the more B2B IT-centric software that's going on here. I think that great ideas are still getting funded. They're getting funded a little later in their idea cycle than they were, a decade ago for sure. They're also getting funded with the right management team in place, folks who have proven something in the past to those investors. A lot of investors are also kind of finding great deals on more mature companies right now, so they're not necessarily having to invest their fund into green pre-revenue types of companies as much. I think on the other side, there is this emergence of some more Web 2.0 focused type of investors. A lot of first round capitalish like people who are starting up more incubator funds, Y Combinator / Capital Factory type funds, which are getting enough money into good ideas' hands so that they can start to prove out their ideas. So definitely the investment model has shifted, certainly here in Austin, but I think good companies are still getting enough money to prove out their ideas.
Yeah, I recently read an article that was on, I guess, Seeking Alpha about how some industry experts expect the IPO market to come back a little bit in 2010, maybe Facebook, maybe Twitter. What do you see in the next few years happening with exits, with M&A, IPOs, those things that build up the currency and the opportunity for people to justify getting into a startup or starting a business of their own?
Well, I'm not an expert at all on these larger software companies who are going to pull the trigger in 2010. I know here in Austin, the rumor mill has it that there's a couple of companies that are ready to go. Convio, maybe HomeAway, a couple of the AV-backed deals that have generated substantial revenues and are now cash flow positive. So I think that we probably will see a number of IPOs here in the Austin area this year, which is going to be exciting and it's going to open up some capital for folks. On the other hand, certainly the acquisition marketplace is pretty heated, both on the consumer space and in the B2B / IT space. We've had a half a dozen interesting acquisitions here in Austin over the last 6 months, probably, that have ranged from $5 to $150, $250 million. And so for a lot of folks, those are great exits, right? Especially if they've had an opportunity to be a little more capital efficient on the entry point.
So we have about a minute left. Why don't we wrap up with just some of your observations about Austin and what you like about being here and what you like about being involved in the startup community here in town. Sure.
Well, Austin offers a really great value for startups. I've spent a lot of time in the Bay Area, and I love the Bay Area. It's such a great hyper environment for getting a business going, but it's also incredibly crowded, and it's really hard to break out and to get attention. In Austin, many of the thought leaders, many of the people who you're going to want to put money in your company or be a mentor for you or to be an executive with your firm or to just give you advice or whatever are very accessible, right? Last night we had this great event where 400 people got together just to, do some great presentations through Ignite Austin, right? Everybody was there, and you could have walked up to any of the people in the community who play one of those roles and had a drink, had a conversation. So very accessible here in Austin. The cost of living is great, and I really love it. All right. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Jonas. We appreciate it.